Slides are common aids used in science talks these days, thanks to the accessibility of software like PowerPoint, Keynote, and for more advanced users, Prezi. But the ease of making slides and the low cost of presenting them means you no longer have to worry about how many hard copies you can afford to make or bungling with transparencies. But this ease of making slides means it's equally easy to generate really bad slides. We've all seen, and some of us have created, slide decks that confuse or frustrate rather than inform or delight. But just as you don't have to be a critically acclaimed author to use a word processor, you don't have to be a graphic designer to produce clear visuals. While we don't have the time to go into every detail of slide design, keep aware of two things: clarity and contrast to produce better slides. I know you can't read this, but should never be uttered in a talk. If your slides require you to apologize for their appearance, you look unprepared. Did you not have time to create a clearer slide? Or are you suggesting to the audience they're not important enough for you to make that time? When it comes to words, bigger is always better. Any words on the slide should be visible from the back of the room. If you're not sure what this looks like, stand up, look at your computer screen from around 10 feet away to get a better idea. Of course, this means you'll have fewer words on screen, but your slide should accompany your talk, not script it entirely. If the audience sees a whole bunch of text, they'll start trying to read it, and soon your voice out loud will not line up with the voices inside your listeners' heads, and that will distract their attention away from you. Now, if you can't make a legible slide with a given figure, do two things. First, decide what the most important information is and show only that on the screen. Slides are essentially free, so you can break this up across several images. Second, provide a handout, or at the very least a reference of the source figure for people to refer to if they want. Hand this out at the end so it doesn't distract your audience from your oral remarks. Or, if it's a group meeting, circulate the figure many hours before so the audience has some familiarity when the figure comes up on screen. Now, when it comes to contrast, have you ever wondered why movie credits are almost always white letters on a dark background? That's because in a dark room, a white field causes eye strain. It is literally harder to read this. Now, if you're presenting in a well-lit room, a white background looks like a wall. So find out the lighting conditions of the room you'll be speaking in to decide which will be nicest to your audience's eyes. And remember, not every color looks good on every background. Can anyone see the yellow line on this graph? That's because yellow on white is never a good idea. Also remember, the colors on your screen might not appear the same in projected light. Now, there is some software that can correct for this, but the best way to be certain is to practice your talk with a projector at least once and then edit as needed. Oh, and a quick note about using laser pointers. Just don't. It is physically impossible to hold the laser pointer steady. This means that you have a shaking dot, especially as it moves around the slide and vainly it tries to draw your audience's attention. Use the tools within the software to make it more clear. Arrows, shading, circles will draw your audience's attention where you need it to be and emphasize the content of your slide. Also remember, on average, an audience of 20 people will probably have at least one person who doesn't see red so well. This means that your red laser pointer could be invisible. Do you want to risk that person being the most important viewer? Now, like we said consistently in this video series, you need to practice and experiment with what works for you. The same is abundantly true for slide design, and there's tons of information online with more advice than we have time to provide here. So as you put together your talks thinking both about the narrative and the slide design, remember, it's possible to give a bad talk using good or even artfully designed slides. But it is impossible to give a good talk using bad slides. So practice, practice, and then practice some more, and your communication will only improve.